Have you ever asked yourself the question, what really happens when God really comes on the scene? Well, I'm David Geiertsen, president of Asbury College, and I'm standing here in Hughes Auditorium where in February of 1970 God came, and God made a difference in people's lives. It was a regular day for chapel, but it wasn't going to be a regular chapel. Students came and the Spirit of God began to move, and before we realized what was happening, God began to convict young people of their sin. They confessed that sin and received the cleansing power of God. But along with that, there came the infilling of the Holy Spirit to do the things that God has asked us to do, to love Him supremely, and to go into all the world and preach the gospel. Well, during the next days that followed, before we realized what was happening, the spirit of what was happening here at Hughes began to fan out across the country. Student witness teams went to a variety of college campuses. I happened to be on one of those campuses and heard one of those teams. The revival broke out on our campus and lasted over 2 weeks. It spread out across the land and around the world, and today, literally thousands of people and many churches and nations, as well as college campuses, have been impacted by that experience with the Holy Spirit. You know, it's time for God to come again, isn't it? It's time for us to experience another divine moment. And the reason we've prepared this videotape is to let you know that God is still in the business of bringing people into a deep relationship with Him, all for the purpose of cleansing us from sin and empowering us to do the work He's called us to do. God bless you as you experience for yourself another divine moment.
And this is the thing that makes revival strange to people who are not familiar with it, because there is the unpredictable element about it. It's something that is in the sovereignty of God, and He gives in His own time. And so all I could do was say that God has honored us. God has done for us the greatest thing that He could do. This week He has given Himself to us. And the only attitude that we can have is one of awe, one of adoration, one of gratitude, one of joy.
I know normally that when you're watching television, like everyone else, you have one eye perhaps on the paper, one eye on television, or one ear to someone else in the room, or perhaps you're fixing the evening meal. But for the next 2.5 minutes, I wish you'd stop everything you're doing, and I think you too are going to be impressed.
It was a regular chapel service, but toward the end of the chapel service, which it lasts about 50 minutes, it broke and the students started coming to the altar in droves, and we've been going ever since.
It all started when one student gave his testimony.
And then I heard this rumbling of footsteps, and I looked up, and there were just dozens of my classmates, of freshmen, because upstairs it's wooden floors, moving forward. Dozens. Nobody was conscious of what anyone else was doing. They were moving forward, and the altar filled.
And I've never experienced anything like this before here, seeing all these kids and just keep coming and coming, and it just thrills me like nothing I've ever seen.
Sitting back there thinking, man, if they don't stop these people coming up here, this thing's going to get out of hand.
So I'm not leaving this place until I find peace of mind and peace in my heart. And I was sitting up there in the balcony, and I thought, just let them sing one more verse and I'll go down. And they did. And I had to keep my promise. And I went down and I just laid over that altar and I said, Lord, it's either go forward with you or go back.
I skipped chapel. Along about 12:30, when I knew that everybody should be back from chapel, I never heard a sound. And I began to worry a little bit. What's going on? What's going on over there? Long about 1 o'clock, a thought arrived in my mind. The rapture had come, Richard.
I'm thankful that this afternoon I know that the Lord has saved me. I didn't think I could really know or be as sure as I feel right now. And I thank the Lord because it's only Him that could do this for me.
I was in Canada, in Banff, Alberta, and received